Yes, I am privileged to introduce our first speaker for the day. She is a board certified family psychologist and guidance counselor, an award winning book author. She is a sought after speaker and consultant in the field of family life and parenting, digital media management, and well being. She integrates her extensive work experience and academic training on children, adults, and families by using practical and relatable knowledge and information in content and program development as she gets involved with various companies, organizations, brands and schools, consulting, talks, and in her live streaming program called Coffee Break with Dr. Michele. She is also a college and graduate school lecturer and most of all a wife and mom to two growing kids. On a more personal note, on the occasions that I had the opportunity to be with our speaker, I have felt her genuine passion and dedication to her craft, alongside her keen wit and sense of humor that kept those moments not only enlightening but most of all animated and enjoyable. RCW carers and friends, let us now welcome and listen to our first speaker for the day, Dr. Michele Alignay, or Ichel as she is fondly called.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Ichel.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Congratulations to RCW, to Ne, and the whole team for reaching the 20 years milestone. I hope that, hi Itin, hi Nandy, and hi Ducky. I hope that I am coming clear. Ayan, lumiwanag. I'm outdoors. The Lord is
Oh,
very good. I'm somewhere nature. I'm somewhere tucked away. So this is very caring for myself. Theme for this occasion.
it's great. It's great.
Am I coming clear? Okay,
Very.
should I start? Can I have a go signal?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
please.
Thank you for that
Please.
introduction. Okay. So this afternoon, I will just put my microphone. I hope everybody is uh, doing well. I would just put my microphone so that you can hear me better. Okay. What I'm going with you, and I believe that our tech team will be the one to show the slides on the screen as we move forward, as I discuss my topic. My topic for this afternoon is about care as compassion. I know, friends, that most of us we hear compassion. When we hear compassion, we usually see it as something about other people, as something about ibang tao, yung kapakanan ng iba, yung tulong natin sa iba. But we have to realize that the first person that we're supposed to be compassionate about is ourselves. Do you agree with that? I would know that most of you are here. I hope that the team can help me by flashing the, ayan, thank you. Care as compassion. So my as I would like to ask you, what comes to your mind whenever you hear the word compassion? Can you just put that on the chat box? I know that most of us you are all in Facebook. Can you put in your comment section what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word compassion? Diba, it's all about other people. And as adults, I think that it's all about other people. And many times, nagiging concern natin ito. Because can we move to the next slide? Compassion has become a way for us to look also, to tune into our inner self and our emotions. And I would like to invite you to this mindset this afternoon. That compassion, it's just not about other people. During the pandemic, during all the demands that we've been experiencing in life, in our family, hindi nyo pa napansin, how come we're so tired of helping other people? How come we're so even worn out? Another word is burned out. Another thing is, meron akong favorite word, maxed out. Hindi yan credit card. But we're maxed out because We have given so many of our resources to be able to share it, but we fail to look at how we are in the process, how we are with ourselves. Yan, one word is empathy, self-care, empathy. And the good thing about talking with RCW people is that pare-pareho tayo ng mindset. We are in this way of growing. Can we move to the next? So compassion, I would like you to look into how are you looking into the compassion. And this afternoon, let's look at compassion as treating ourselves with kindness and understanding. Can you say that with me? Kindness and understanding. Why did
Kindness
I
and understanding.
thank you, Itin? Now, kalimutan muna natin yung ibang tao because we will never be effective in helping others if we ourselves are not being compassionate. I am not saying that it's bad to help other people, but what I'm saying is, as adults, I believe we had so much pressure from work, so much pressure from home life, so much pressure with everything. We need to check how compassionate we have become and how we are compassionate with ourselves. Let me just make it put a little religious because I believe that tanggalin natin yung M. But you see that maybe is together, and M, it's about me, and passion, it's about Jesus' passion. So let's put it together. Compassion. Co-passion, it's sharing in the passion of Jesus. But even Jesus knows how to do self-care. Before he went to his work in Jerusalem, bago siya pumasok ng Jerusalem, he had a lot of moments in his place in Galilee. He had so many things that he has been doing there. So you have to understand that compassion can also be a way for us to treat ourselves with kindness, the way Jesus did when he was in Galilee and before he plunged into his work in Jerusalem. I know that many of you would agree with me. Can we move to the next slide? So here you go. Looking at that, if Jesus knows how to be compassionate with himself, that is why he has a lot of moments that he can be able to tune into his emotions. He is accepting of his real self and his real mission. Because he's gentle and kind to himself, and he was able to tune in to what other people is experiencing. If you remember, one of the best things that we know is that narinig niya or naharamdaman niya the story of the lady who come to him amidst that crazy place when he healed that lady who was suffering from hemorrhage. Hindi
Yes.
ba sa dami ng tao naramdaman niya? Why? Jesus knows how to rest. Jesus knows how to retreat to the mountains. Jesus knows how to retreat to Galilee. I'm just so empowered because before the lockdown, I was blessed to be part of a pilgrimage to Holy Land. So I saw the beauty of and the pureness of Galilee. The more lalo nung if it's Jesus time, right? So being
Yes.
compassionate, it's about being true to our emotions, being accepting of our authentic self, and being kind and gentle with ourselves. And having said that, when we know how to treat ourselves right with kindness and compassion, the rest is history. As you know, we all know this. We cannot pour from an empty cup. Agree?
Agree.
Baliwala yung ginagawa natin kung tayo lang yung babaksak. Because the foundation of helping other people, of compassion, is really how we are treating ourselves. I would like to ask you, when is the last time? Can we move to the next slide? When was the last time that we treat ourselves right? Meaning, you listen to your emotion. You listen to what you have. You listen to yourself. When was the last time that you sit in and say, wait, let me just tune into myself? When was the last time you did that? One of my favorite family therapists, in the name, the mother of family therapy, Virginia Satir said, we are always in constant motion. We are reacting and responding to the inside and out all the time. And can you just imagine, even if we're in lockdown, even if we're at home, there's just so many things that we are having. Diba? That's the irony of things. Even if we are on lockdown, sobrang daming nangyayari sa bahay. So many things needs to be done. So many things needs to be accomplished. We need to take an effort to treat ourselves right. And I believe even at home, there's so many issues that you need to confront, especially family issues, especially even parenting issues. Do you agree? Mas maraming
Agree.
yata issue na na-surface. And even us, our inner our inner journey, mas maraming na-surface na mga bagay na hindi natin pinagmunihan. So this is an invitation. We are always in constant motion. So being compassionate with ourselves, knowing how to respond, not just to react amidst everything that's happening, the calamity, the typhoon, the pandemic, lahat, the family issues, the financial challenges, sa lahat ng nangyayari, tandaan natin, our well-being is always at stake. Next slide, please. And since we are always in constant motion, we need to understand that we adults, I know I'm talking to adults, iba ang buhay natin ng teenager. Masaya, I'm teaching in the college, iba yung concern ng mga estudyante ko na nasa college at iba yung concern ng mga estudyante kong nasa graduate school, yung mga MA, lalo na yung mga PhD student. I have even students who are religious. Ibang-iba yung concern nila and nakakatawa because the concern that we have as teenagers are not exactly the concern that we have as adults, right? Ibang-iba. So
Right.
here, you cannot compare what we have on that stage to what we have. Because here, too many things are happening all at the same time. Nararamdaman nyo ba yun minsan? Bakit sabay-sabay? Ba't ang dami? Bakit, bakit dati kaya ko? Ba't hindi? We have to acknowledge that there are seasons. Another, the work and family demands is so different. The issues of the pre-pandemic may be issues that are magnified now. Kaya yung mga issue na hindi natin ni-resolve sa pamilya, sa buhay, sa sarili, nung pre-pandemic, I'm telling you, ngayon, ini-invite kayong tingnan yan. Yung mga issue or problemang pumutok ngayon, posibleng yung pandemic, it just triggered the issue. But the issue is inside. So there's too much family demands also, especially in family issues, especially in the demands of parenting, especially of the demands to, to work, build a career while you manage a home. Lahat itatanong sa atin na ultimo ulam, ultimo wala na po tayong gas, wala na tayong ganito, wala na tayong even the supplies at home, it's connected to us adults. And our well-being and worth is always affected. Sa lahat ng nangyayari in the journey to adulthood, everything happens all at the same time. There's work, family, and even community demand. But our well-being is affected and our self-worth is totally affected if we don't know how to tune into ourselves. Kung hindi natin alam kung paano alagaan ang sarili natin. Friend, I'm telling you, the more we will be severely put on lockdown inside us. It's not the lockdown that we know about now, but it's the lockdown na tayo, malalockdown natin yung sarili natin. Can you relate to what I'm saying? So can you move to the next slide? So as adults, sabi nga ng mga millennials, it's adulting. As adults, we grew up trained by our parents. We grew up being surrounded with the whole network of shoulds. Can you relate to that? Diba? Na parang, oy, dapat kasi ganito eh. Dapat ganito. Bakit ko na-relate yan? Kasi as we grow up as adults, there's just too many demands, too many things. And all this are a way for us to accomplish, to achieve, to put food on the table, and of course, to build a living and to build a life. We grew up being surrounded with the whole set of truths. Dapat. Can we move to the next slide? Said Virginia here. But let me ask, sa tingin nyo ba, the internal programming of what we have should be doing during the pre-pandemic, are they still applicable now? In this situation, nagmi-midlife crisis, nagkakaroon ng marital distress, yung anak natin nagkakaroon ng nagti-teenager yung anak, yung parent nagmi-midlife. Our internal programming is good, especially when we are being formed, childhood, adolescents, and maybe your early adults. But let me just put this forward. They're not wrong, but our internal programming, the must, the should, and dapat gawin. I'll show you the example. This pandemic, it's an invitation for us to reflect. How am I being compassionate with myself? Yung sinasabi ng nanay ko, for example, one of the internal programmings, my mom would always tell me that I should prioritize my family. That's one. That's an example of internal programming. Sa panahon ngayon na ang daming demands ng trabaho, malalaki na yung anak. applicable pa ba siya? Some things during in our earlier stage, or maybe even the pre-pandemic, some things then are not healthy at the present. And if we know how to be compassionate with ourselves, we know how to check how the internal programming, or what we call that our life tapes, we know how to check if is it helpful, is it not helpful. Itong must na to, applicable ba sa ngayon or hindi? Itong shoulds, itong dapat na to, healthy ba sa akin or hindi na siya nakakatulong? Itong dapat gawin, to do. Dapat ba araw-araw maglinis ng bahay? Dapat ba araw-araw mag-imis? As in totally talagang pulido dapat? Everybody's working at home now. Dapat ba ako lang ang gumawa? Because I am the wife? Or maybe I should be the only one to do this because I'm the panganay? You know that. Our rootedness, our childhood issues. So can we move to the next? And if you see that internal programming, the must, the should, how does this affect us at present? That's what I would like you to answer. I would like you to capture one tape, one internal programming that you have. Mga should, must do. I'll give you an example. Ito, paborito kong gawin to whenever I talk about compassion and self-care, especially for moms. Yung sinasabi na pag nanay ka, isusubo mo na lang, ibibigay mo pa sa anak. Alam natin yan, Itin. Alam natin yan, Ne.
Yes,
Sa mga
yes.
mommies to. But come to think of it, right now that you need to save yourself so you can have more to give your family, is it applicable? Because I believe it's not applicable for adults. Kasi baliktad at ito yung mga pang love life ng teenager. Na pag nagmahal ka, tiran mo daw yung sarili mo, wag mong uubusan. Hindi, buuin mo muna yung sarili mo para marami kang mabigay. Yeah. So one is saying, I've learned to release and let go of all the shoulds, must, and coulds, ask for whom and for what. Yes. Can we move to the next? Because somewhere along the way, alam nyo, this pandemic, it maybe has a purpose because we tend to, what are our tendencies? We tend to say, we should not feel this. Nasa pandemic ako, pero ba't parang ang peaceful ko? Ba't parang natutuwa pa ako na I can save money, I am working from home, there's no traffic. Ang sama ko naman, natutuwa ako, pero yung mga ibang tao suffering. I should not feel this way. One example. Another one. We must act as if. I have a lot of questions regarding this whenever I do my own Facebook live. Yung tanong nila, bakit daw okay lang ba na natutuwa sila? We must act as if my family is already anxious and I should act as if I am strong, even inside, if inside I'm crumbling already. Is that healthy? Meron nagtanong sa akin, but I should show to my staff and to my team that I am strong. Hindi na ako nila dapat makitang weak. I think for people in positions, you adults, you experience that. We must ask as if. But is that being true to ourselves? Is it being real to our emotions? Is it being compassionate? Is it caring for your internal process? We need to do this despite of. Kailangan pa bang mag-family reunion despite of pandemic? Kasi nakagawian na. Kailangan bang bigyan lahat ng regalo sa angkan? Kasi iyon yung tradisyon. Come to think of it, some things in the pre-pandemic may not be applicable to our realities, to our circumstance, and to our needs at the present. So check, what are your tendencies? Where are you on this? Next slide, please. And if we look at this week, kaya ang nangyayari sa atin as adult, sino sa inyo nakaka-relate dito? Our tendency, our internal programming, the must, the shoulds, and the to-dos allowed us, pushed us to, one, overthink. Nung nagsimula yung lockdown, so many people are overthinking. Kumbaga, wala pang COVID dun sa area nyo, sa utak mo meron na. Diba? The pandemic is in the mindset of overthinking. And some people cannot even make a decision because they're paralyzed by overthinking. Another, we tend to overact. We know that. Yes, it's good to acknowledge our emotions, but we might be overacting. And what do I mean by overacting? Okay lang naman na ganyan yung reaction mo. But isn't it that we're spreading our emotions too thin? So that's another thing. And then we overbook. Hindi to overbook ng grab food, but we overbook meaning oo tayo ng oo. We find it difficult to say no. Diba? That's our problem. That's the tendency of adults na hihiya tayo sa sasabihin ng iba. Baka kasi may marinig pa tayo. So, oo na lang tayo kahit na feeling natin na ayoko, hindi ko kaya. Hindi ko kaya. Another, we oversubscribe. Nakasubscribe tayo sa lahat ng news outlet at sinusundan natin lahat ng COVID update. Tapos magtataka tayo, bakit tayo natitense? Lahat paka-alert sa'yo. Imagine everything that you're subscribing to. And it gets into our head. It gets to our heart. And then you're gonna wonder, why am I tense? Why am I like this? Is that being, all these actions also allowed us to overfunction. Gusto natin kontrolin lahat. But you know what? As much as there's disinfection, as much as we would like to control the virus sometimes is in our system. The virus of overfunction. Ang pinakamaraming overfunctioners na lumitaw ngayon, overfunctioning parents, gusto nilang malaman kung paano i-conduct ang online class sa anak. To the point that they even want to see the curriculum. To the point that they're even questioning teachers, bakit ganito yung pagkagawa ng lesson? Bakit mali? Friends, there's nothing wrong with that. But what could be wrong is that we're not allowing our family to grow because we're overfunctioning. We are spreading ourselves too thin. And when we subscribe, ayan, somebody said, I used to always say yes, even if I don't want to, but I've learned not to do it anymore. There's peace in saying yes, and you can say peace without even explaining yourself why do you need to say no. We our tendencies to overact, to overthink, to overact, overbook, oversubscribe, overfunction. Are you caring for yourself? Saan papasok yung care as compassion? Saan papasok yung compassion as a way to take care? If most of the days, about 80% of your mindset and 80% of your emotions and personal narratives would be about overthinking, overacting, overbooking, oversubscribing, overfunctioning, and we are overdosed with a lot of information. We are overdosed with a lot of emotions that we cannot process. And we are overdosed to the point that our health, our well-being, our internal journey is being compromised. Where are we here? Next slide, please. Where are your tendencies? And let me just share with you, being compassionate, that's an invitation for us. These are the things that we can learn. In being compassionate is being humane. It's acknowledging and likeness. Can you hear me? I'm still in. Can you hear me?
Yes, you are. Yes,
We
you
are
are.
created in God. We are created in God's image and likeness. Being humane is acknowledging that yes, we can do it, but there are days that we need to tune in to our bodies, to our physical bodies, because that one can fail us. And that's our human tendency. Diba? The body absorbs so much. The body is actually absorbing so many things that the mind and the emotions can no longer process. So our bodies are indicators of our well-being. So here, you have to be humane. You have to be human. You have to acknowledge our humanness, our weaknesses. Sometimes we want to do everything. Do you agree with me? We want to accomplish so
Agree.
much. Para tapos, I want to have everything. But to what extent? What is suffering? Yung sarili. We take care of everything. We are doing humanistic work, but we're not human and compassion to ourselves. Does that happen? Yes. The next one. Being compassionate, it's about humility. Being compassionate with humility. That is necessary. Alam niyo kung bakit? As moms, I personally don't want to be called a super mom. I hate it. Why? I don't like being called a super mom. because I humbly accepting that I cannot do it all. I don't have a perfect home. I just want a clean home. But I have to let go of something. And that's my humility. Also, we have a tendency as adults, kaya natin lahat eh. We are programmed to achieve. We are programmed to do everything. Ayan, that's correct. Superman or superwoman syndrome. We are programmed na kaya natin lahat yan. Pwede natin gawin to. Kaya natin yan. Yes. But we are not, the tendency is that we are not humble to accept help when needed. Yesterday, I was chatting with a community member. I belong to the Feast community of Brother Sands, and I met this friend. She's in the province. She's in Davao. And then last year, I think she had a stroke. And this young lady, in her, she's about mid 20s or going 30s, very passionate about life, travel, very passionate about work. She's working in a good company there, and very passionate about service. She serves here, she serves there. Pag tinawag mo siya, okay, I'll go, I'll do this. Kaya ako siya nakilala because she serves as my, we call it PA, personal assistant when I was a speaker for Kirigma Conference Davao 2 years ago. And then last year, she got sick. I think she had a stroke. And then kachat ko siya ng isang araw. I was chatting with her and asking her, how are you? And sabi niya, ate, you know what this sickness has taught me? To ask help. Kasi dati go, go, go lang ako. Hindi ko pala kaya lahat, especially now that I'm sick. And friends, sabi niya, ito yung word niya, now I learned how to ask for help. Iba yung to ask help because we are codependent. That's a different scenario. But we need to know and to be humble enough to admit that there are limitations. In our humanness, we have limitations. And we have the humility to say, I'm sorry, I cannot do it. I'm sorry, I cannot help you. I'm sorry, I cannot commit. Why? Because we are prioritizing ourselves, our compassion, our care for ourselves. Because masakit na nga may masakit na nga sa atin, o pa ba tayo? Umaaray ka na. And I think the Lord would not mind us doing it. Kasi siya mismo, He knows how to retreat. He knows how to reach. Hindi naman tayo nagno-no because uh, we are, we have a pride. We are not saying no. We are not being, baka sabihin nila, hindi ako, masyado akong selfish. No. But we need to humbly admit also that we need help and that humility also that we have limitations and we cannot do everything. Because in the process, we are being compassionate with ourselves. And the third H, so the first one, it's humanness. The second H that we need for compassion, it's humility. And the third one, it's harmony. I love this. What comes to your mind when you hear harmony? Isn't it that harmony is balance? I I'd like using better work-life than work-life balance. Why? Because harmony. A good music, it's harmony. Harmony. There's no perfect formula for harmony. Pag sinabi kasi nating balance, equal. Pero pag sinabi nating harmony, some have more and some have less. But somehow, it strike the right chords, right? So can we move on? Being compassionate is harmony. And this is something that self-compassion entails harmony. It's an internal harmony that I would like you to look at. And these are the points of reflection that I think we can do. One, we cannot deal with everything in life all at once. Somebody said that Len said that it's connectedness. Yes, it's a connectedness that one is harmonious with the other. And remember, di ba, all parts of the system should work and be in place for the system to work well. Diba? In family system, sinasabi na sakit ng kaligtingan, dama ng buong katawan. So, ganun din yung harmony. Pag hindi okay yung ating emotional well-being, pag hindi tayo okay, nagiging physical sickness. or yung physical sickness pag hindi pinapansin, nagpo-full blown kasi may pinanggagalingang emotional sickness. There should be internal harmony. And how do we apply self-compassion? Remember, we cannot deal with everything in life all at once. Hindi pwedeng sabay-sabay. Minsan may nagtanong sa akin, hindi ba nakakatakot na I would be delayed in my career, in my work because of my kids? Did you ever, at tanong niya sa akin, because I for a time, I stopped full-time work to give focus to my kids. Ang tanong niya sa akin, hindi ka ba natakot? Sabi ko, no. Because I know there will be a time for everything. So we cannot do everything all at once. Not all. The second, harmony is that we can choose something we need now and go to the rest later. Friend, sakit natin yan. Sakit nating mga malamarta. You know, Martha, you know these points I'm sharing with you. These are the reflections. I have this program that I run every year, about August or September every year. It's called Martha's Pause. Martha Pause. You know who Martha is? Martha of Bethany.
Yes,
Yung aligaga. Parang tayo, Itin. Parang
yes.
sine. Yung
Marang
aligaga.
mga kiti-kiti.
Correct. Na ayaw tumigil. Tapos nagre-reklamo pa. Lord, bakit si Mary nakaupo lang? I'm not gonna compare Martha with Mary, but I would like you to know, we chose to busy ourselves. Martha's fault is that nagreklamo siya. Kaya ito na lang yun. Sometimes, if you choose to busy yourself, choose not to fret or choose not to be harsh on yourself. Ako na lang lagi yung gumagawa eh. Don't feel that you are a victim because you chose that. Eh wala namang choice. Because we always have a choice. We can choose something we need now. Priority. And go to the rest later. Hindi titigil ang buhay. And we know that, ay, okay palang umupo lang sandali. Pwede pala yun. Tatakbo pa rin ang mundo. I believe ang daming na-filter sa atin. The pandemic is, I call it, this pandemic is both a filter and a teacher. It taught us to be self-compassionate, not to finish everything in our task list. Yung kung meron pa kayong frustration na hindi natupad ang 2020 goals nyo, i-park nyo na yun, friends. Be compassionate with yourself. We cannot deal with everything in life all at once. You can choose something you need now and go to the rest later. Yesterday, I read a very nice inspiration from Ariana Huffington of the Tribe. I don't know if you're familiar with the Tribe Global from Huffington Post. Ang ganda. I thought 2020 would be the year that I would attain my dreams. But 2020 proves to be the year that I will appreciate what I have. Di ba ang ganda? Hindi naman sinabing itigil ang buhay. Pause and pivot, but don't necessarily pivot. Because change happens. And it is necessary to continuously and intentionally create. Are you with me?
Yes.
Change happens.
Yeah.
Demands happen. One of
Mhm.
my favorite at hawak ko ngayong pandemic na quote from Virginia Satir, in understanding problems. Problems are not the problem. Coping is the problem. And one of the key that we should do is to cope with the problem with compassion. Huwag nating kakalimutan yung situation. So, change may happen, problems may come. It's very needed that we continuously and intentionally balance to create harmony. And I'll give you three big words. Next slide. What are the three things we should balance? Ito napakasimple. May mga araw that we have to give time to our need to do. May araw that we need to focus on what I can do. Meaning, ano yung kaya ko? Kasi sa dami ng need to do, ito lang yung kaya ko. And may mga araw that we need to give in to what we long. Friends, if your week is all about what you need to do, there will be concerns. It's the not harmonious formula. How do we formulate this? Sometimes you choose your duties or you need to do. Some days you ask yourself, what I can do? What can I do? What am I capable of doing? And lastly, do not forget, do what you love. You want to just leave for work, just, 5 o'clock, you still have something to do, but you know your mind is already not functioning properly. Do something else. Honestly, I did that. I'm away. It's our anniversary weekend of my husband. So when
Happy
this
anniversary.
you so when this invitation came, I told Ned that I will be out and I know what to do. So my setup, I'm in Nurture Village in Tagaytay. This is something that we've longed to do because there's just too much need to do and what can do. But I'm not saying that this is something that you need to do. Kasi alam nyo, itong pandemic, ang mga tao, nung una kong tinatanong during my Facebook Live, what are your self-care? Ada, ang mga sagot ng iba, travel. Ay, girls, boys, ladies and gents, travel has proven to be non-essential for the time being. Tama yung mga kalalaboy natin, but there's something that we can bring in nature to the house so that so many plantitas has, done home edit. And look at this. Mao said, the pandemic taught me to look at myself squarely in the face when I am at and what I want to do and capable of doing at this point in time. Yes. Kung ano lang yung kaya. So many people have been anxious about doing what they need to do because they are not used to doing something else. And then, reboot, restart. Do what you long to do. I go back to some of my hobbies. Ang daming gagawin, but I know I need to make time. Make time for your hobbies. Make time for new things to create. What am I creating? I'm recycling some wrapping papers, and then I'm making handmade soap. Imagine I'm making handmade soap at home, and that has been my source of my way of declogging my head out of the work that I'm doing because I long to do that. My soul needs it. Even though that other people say, hey, stay home. Yes, there are days that I go to the nearest coffee shop a few times. Why? There are days that we long to be sane and safe. Yes, we are safe, but how sane are we? So here, if there's too much need to do, check yourself. But among the need to do, what can I do? And never forget what I long to do. Can we move to the next slide? And this stands for your shoulds, your wishes, and your abilities. The shoulds are your to do. The abilities are your can do. Our wishes are you wishing for. Harmonizing these three entails us to be at peace with our choice. And that is the lesson of Martha of Bethany. Mary, when she was sitting at the feet of Jesus, she was at peace with her choice. She left the house chores with reckless abandon, while this Martha went fussing around, hey, Jesus! Nalalamangan niya ako ng kapatid ko. Bakit hindi niya ako tinutulungan? Ayan. In Tagalog ngayon, yung mga nagngangangaw-ngaw. Pinili mo yan, tapos magre-reklamo ka. So friends, it's the same thing with us. There are days we do our shorts. There are days we check what are we capable of. And there are days we give in to our wish. And harmonizing these three entails to be at peace with our choice. And Jesus said that Mary has chosen the better portion and it should not be taken away from her. It's choosing the better portion. What portion are you choosing each day? That is the challenge. When you choose the better portion, you choose compassion. When you choose the better portion, you choose how can you take care of yourself amidst all the shoulds, amidst all the abilities, amidst all the demands of life. You choose that. And that is a daily choice. Um, there's a question here. How can we manage work and life? How can we balance? There's no perfect balance. I always tell people, there's no perfect balance. Kasi yung balance, it depends on how compassionate we are, how we prioritize self-care, and the values that we have towards work and towards family, and towards other matters, isn't it? So walang perfect formula. It depends on how we harmonize it. Next slide. And more importantly, I would like us to reflect. In our own journey, in our own process, we constantly learn to be compassionate and caring with ourselves. That's what I have been saying. It's a daily choice. It's a daily habit. We learn to accept and align this three, the shoulds, the wishes, and abilities, and give ourselves what we long to. Huwag niyong kalimutan yung what we long to. Because giving onto what we long to do, maybe it's just a few minutes of sitting down over a cup of coffee. And maybe it's telling your child, anak, wait, I cannot deal with you yet. I have too many emotions. I have too many things at mind. Isn't that being compassionate with yourself? Maybe it's saying no, or maybe it's just being quiet the whole day because you just don't want to deal with all the shit happening around us. That is self-compassion. We learn to accept and align these three, our to-dos, our I can, and give ourselves what we long to do. We learn. We have to accept. Kasi yan lang yung way na magko-connect sa atin with our care and compassion. We move in being kind and in harmony. Mind, body, and spirit, walang iwanan. Hindi tayo hipon. Yung hipon, di ba, sabi nila, taong hipon, tapon yung ulo, katawan lang yung may pakinabang. Friends, hindi tayo hipon. We are created mind, body, and spirit. Lahat yon may function. All these three aspects are capable of being stretched and flexed. So if you have so many shoulds that rigidity is already crippling your well-being, then check what can I be able to do and check how can I be more giving to myself? How can I be more caring to myself to be able to give in to my personal wishes? Okay, let's move on. Go back to the basics of life. Yeah, this is how the pandemic has taught us. So go back to the basics. And alam nyo, sometimes people ask me, so what are the steps? I'm not gonna give you steps. I'm gonna give you a formula. What's the perfect formula? Nothing, because we create our own formula. That's why we call it inner harmony. Kasi what self-compassion is for me might be different from you. What self-care is for me might be different from you. Kaya dito papasok yung ating adult wisdom. And you know what, friends? Kaya let's not oversubscribe to too many things. Kasi minsan sa dinami ng binabasa natin, sa dinami ng, ay, nag-work sa kanya to. Minsan, we're so tuned in to other people. We fail to tune in to ourselves. Thank you, Miss Sunga, for that comment. As I said earlier, we fail to tune into ourselves. We cannot harmonize everything. We cannot really implement and have that self-compassion that's so needed if we don't know how to sit down. Then we move on. And if you would see this I am almost ending. And this is something that I read from a book called The Things You See When You Slow Down. It's from a monk, a Vietnamese monk named Min Sunik. I like this. When life disappoints, rest a moment. Alam ko marami sa atin naririnig natin, di ba? Fight lang. Fight lang, di ba? We see that a lot. Sige, fight. Kaya yan. Laban lang. Sabi ko, sino ba tayo nakikipaglaban? Nakikipaglaban ba tayo sa buhay? Hindi kasi ko naniniwala na dapat pag you're knocked down by life, you get up and fight back automatically. Because there's no compassion there. Yes, it's good. It's good to have grit. It's good to have that. But in the post-traumatic PTS, if you know post-traumatic stress disorder, the equivalent is PTG, post-traumatic growth. In the PTG model, they said that the difference between people who are able to grow from crisis situation is among other people who were not able to grow amidst trauma and crisis. You know what? Kasi pwedeng pareho tayong binato ng pandemya, Pero bakit itong isa ganito? Bakit isa ganito? Pwedeng pareho tayong nawalan ng trabaho. Pwede tayong nakipaghiwalay sa asawa. Pwede tayong nawalan ng anak. Pwedeng ang daming nangyari sa atin. We are battered and butchered by life. Pero bakit magkaiba yung nangyari? Post-traumatic growth model said the big difference with people is that the ability to sit down, to reflect, and learn the lessons that they had coming from the traumatic or the crisis situation. When life disappoints, rest a moment. And if we know how to rest that, that is exactly the compassion and the care. In order to pivot, we need to pause. In order to learn what breakthrough we can have, nakakalimutan natin yung thinking step. Kasi lagi tayo go agad. Knockdown, okay, bangon. 'Di ba? May disappointment, hindi. Sige na, go lang. Minsan sabi ng friend ko sa akin, I think we were in the pilgrimage. Tapos pagod na ako one. Sabi ng friend ko, hindi, go lang tayo, energy lang. Sorry, hindi ako yung tipo na high energy lang. Because naniniwala ako sa power of pause. Because the power of pause unleashes the self-compassion that we have. The care para makapag-recharge. Kung ang telepono, ang gadget nagre-recharge, that is when we rest. And when we know how to do it, to rest, to sit down, to learn the lessons and reflect, that is the compassion. That is where compassion and that is caring for our being is happening. And I would like to end with this quote. This quote, I have this book called, the next one, it's called The Beauty of 40, Unwrapping the Gift of Midlife. In my learning, in my own personal journey in life and in midlife, with all the things that happened in my life, I know this. And this is my perfect formula for having care, compassion as care. We can have it all, but not all at I can have it all, but not all at the same. Hindi pwedeng nauna, hindi pwedeng sabay. There is a time for everything. Because if I want to have it all, something's gonna give. Usually, it's our own inner process. It's our own well-being. So, dahan-dahan lang. Literally, mahina ang kalaban. Remember the 3 H? What are they? Humanness, humility, and
Humility and harmony.
harmony. This is how we apply those. And if we apply that, for me, compassion, self-compassion, caring for my being is acknowledging, sitting down, pausing, learning things along the way, and having that humility, having admitting my humanness, meaning my limitations, so I can work on my strengths, and creating the harmony of the shoulds, the harmony of my abilities, and the harmony of my wishes. And I hope that in the process of sitting down, we pause, we rest a moment, we are gentle with ourselves, we take care of our inner self. Why? There's so many things we need to do outside. There's a lot of missions. There's a lot of purpose. But if we don't do it that way, how can we integrate the beloved child, the body and spirit that God made? It's not an integrated life. It's not an unauthentic. It's what I call, yeah, it could be good, but it's not the authentic life. Because at the end of the day, we can never depend on anyone to be compassionate to us. We can never, ever depend, even with the closest people who loves us, on caring for our true self and our inner being. And we are accountable to God for that. With that, thank you. And I pray that each of us will learn to pause, to pray, and to be more compassionate to ourselves. God bless you all. Thank you, RCW. Thank you for sharing with me.
All right. Thank you, Michele. The floor is open.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, great.
So,
The floor is open.
Nandy, galing,
Yeah.
galing, galing. Thank you very much, Ichel, for
Very
that
I'm
good.
one.
sorry for
So,
my,
ang take
I'm
home
sorry.
natin, Nandy.
I got a slew of
Yes,
questions
Ichel.
also, but
Yes.
let's open the floor for questions.
Mm-hmm.
People can comment or type it in right now. There have been a lot of comments. I
Yes,
don't know if you've
please.
been following the comments.
Thank
Okay.
you, Father John.
All right. Oh, applause. All right. So, whoever has, please keep your comments coming. And if you have any questions, I'm sure Itchel will be happy to answer them. Well, Itchel, if you
Yes,
don't mind,
Nandy. So,
while we're waiting
HHH.
for comments, I've got a question.
Yes.
Okay. For the past half hour or so, you've been talking about compassion for oneself. You're talking
Mm-hmm.
about changes, adaptation to nurture that child within and all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you're talking about changes. So my question is that does that explain why a lot of people go through a midlife crisis? Because they undergo major changes sometimes.
Yes. Actually, yes. Yes.
Okay.
We failed to sit down. Because we are trained to go, go, go. We are trained to achieve. We are always trained to do our best. And we fail to look into, hey, what kind of life do I really want? Is it the life that is handed to me? It is the life that social media dictate that I should have? Or is that the one that's connected to my core as a person? So, nakakalimutan natin to tune into our inner self. That's why for me, a lot of people go through midlife crisis, especially if they don't know how to rest, if they don't know how to pause. Kasi I learned I learned I learned from a program that I took. I think it's us who took that. Sabi ni Sister Anna, Malapantan,
Yes,
Malapatan, di ba?
yes,
Midlife is
yes,
when the
yes.
midlife is
About
when
our spiritual growth.
yes, midlife is when the spirit catch up with the body. And
Mhm.
sobrang
Yes,
pagod, di ba? And ngayon, itong pandemic, actually best time siya. Naniniwala ako, lalo na yung mga may midlife
perfect.
issue, na parang hindi niyo maintindihan yung sarili niyo. Saan galing? Naku, yung mga hugot na yan, lumalabas yan in different ways and means. You just don't know how. But it's the
Mm.
best time to tune into
That's
ourselves.
right.
Hindi mo
All
pwedeng
right.
sabihin wala kang time. You have time. You just need to do
Mm.
this, to do it.
So, going
Yes.
back to the midlife crisis, they say that the new midlife crisis is now 60. It's not 40 anymore. It's now 60. Totoo ba yan, Michelle?
No, I think many
No?
people are just not active with, they're not tuning into themselves. I started with 37, at 37.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yung mga delay, baka nandiyan na yan, hindi lang nila inamin. Kasi for them, it's a bad thing. That's why when I wrote my book, The Beauty of 40, Unwrapping the Gift of Midlife, it has a gift. Hindi siya
Mm,
bad thing. It's a beautiful thing kung aaminin mo na maaga pa lang na nag-midlife ka na. Because we would like to grow old gracefully. We would like to grow old happy.
Correct.
We don't want to be older when we grow older, right? So maaga pa
mm,
lang,
That's
aminin mo na.
true.
Para na-resolve na natin yung mga issues na kailangan ayusin.
I agree. I agree. So no denial, diba? Acceptance is always the step to growth. Meron
mm.
ditong question from a user. Can you see it, Ichel? I am a
Yeah,
mother
I
and I
can
would
see I'm a
like to
mother.
instill
Would like to
discipline in our
instill
kids.
discipline in our kids.
What if
After
after
all
all
the reminders
reminders
I
I
give,
give,
they still follow what they want. How can I
yes,
let go and pause and rest?
okay,
It depends. If you have little kids, your kids are small, baka iba yung method that you should you should implement. Baka kaya hindi sila nakikinig, hindi nagma-match your manner and the way you are saying it or implementing it. Another thing is that uh baka kung adult na bigger than kids mo, meaning teenagers, you have to learn to let go. Because the more that you remind them, ang tendency ng kids, they're very dependent on your reminder. Ginagawa kang alarm clock. So, I have to sing to you I will not sing. Let Itin sing. Ang kailangan mo ay ang sinabi ni Ate Elsa. Let it go, let it go. Kasi some people cannot just let go. Mamili ka, si Elsa o Beatles. It's the same thing. There are things, or let it go or let it be. You just have to do it. Because when you unleash that, the clutch in, controlling them, when you unleash it, it's more peaceful. You can reconcile your inner harmony there. You are more compassionate to yourself.
Agree. Agree.
Right.
There's another question here actually coming from one of my former students. Isa to sa
Mhm.
aming magna cum laude. Nag-graduate to ng magna cum laude. A student of mine
Hmm.
from Venice, Sunga. Ichel, can you read it?
Yeah.
Medyo mahaba yung
I
kanyang
just want to ask
question.
is how will I know what task should I give up? Like for now, may work ako na part ng several ministry. I'm part of the choir ministry, women ministry, creative ministry. Oh my God, ang dami. Kailangan po ako ng lahat.
Kitik-kiting ano
Okay,
to eh. Kitik-kiting hindi
who
mapakali
told you
tulad
na
ko.
kailangan ka ng lahat? Who told you? Maybe you feel, yes, it's good that you feel needed. But which one do you think is your core gifting? And which ministry do you think that you are being called to? Kasi I'm sure kailangan ka, pero hindi mo malalaman na hindi ka kailangan kung hindi ka bibitaw. 'Di ba? Sometimes you feel indispensable, pero hindi mo malalaman that you are not if you don't give it up. So you give it up, at kung sino man yung head, let them deal with it. That's adult life. I think the thing with adults is that we learn to let go because sometimes we feel guilty, but also it's being compassionate with ourselves. Meron akong, I have to remind you about this quote. When you say yes to a few, when you say yes to a few, you say yes to you. I'll repeat that. When you say yes to a few ha, you say yes to you. So ibig sabihin, hindi mo dapat lahat saklawan. Piliin mo lang saan ako kailangan. Pray for it.
Agree.
Where is Jesus asking you to serve at your place? There you
Hmm.
Where? Tsaka, Ichel, ang ganda nung sinabi mo kanina about what you need to do, what can I do, and the last one is what I long to do. I think that's a perfect answer
what
also
you
dun sa
need to do.
question ni Denise. Yes, what I long to do. So thank you so much dun sa mga questions ninyo. We still have time, correct?
Yes.
So, may tanong pa po ba? Ang ganda ng mga tanong. Thank you so much for your questions and your comments, no? It's a fantastic. Alam mo si Ichel, talagang she's very good in helping out people and sharing her expertise because she touches the heart. Yun yung maganda sa kanyang mga talks. And later on, what I like about the format that we have here in our anniversary, it's just not talk. We have with us
Yes.
later on testimonial, and then we have our um, validation and integration and even action plans. So talagang we listen on to our speakers so that we get the most out of it. Ang maganda kasi dito, very down to earth, very applicable. And that's what we like and we love that it's we can get it from this and apply it forward because this is not just a 1 day or 2 day thing. We have the caring circle, and the caring circle, we will still help and support each other as we go along. No? So,
Right.
any more questions? Galing,
There was a
galing, galing,
question
galing,
that
galing,
popped
galing.
up.
I
There
love
was
it. I
a
love it, love
question
it,
that,
love it.
there was a question that popped up, Ethan, while you were
Yeah. I
making your
think
comments.
after
Here you go.
self-compassion, I can now share my compassion with
Yes.
others. How applicable are the three H to care, share? I
Sure.
think it's still applicable. One is that humanness. We should admit that we humanness. We have differences. We have strengths, we have limitations, and we have weaknesses, diba? So it's admitting that each one is created differently and that each one is designed differently. And each one might have a different, ito nakakalimutan natin. Kasi minsan meron tayong judgment na bakit ganun siya? Bakit hindi ba niya alam? Hindi niya alam. We are created differently from each
Hmm.
other. That's humility. Humility, how can you apply it to others? We always have to have that. I believe we always have to have that if you're applying it to others, the posture of Where is our heart whenever we serve? Is it to make us famous or to really show love and concern? And that's a humility. Because sometimes a reason for serving, a reason for being in social media, a reason for posting is actually to get the attention of other people, but not necessarily to serve, not necessarily to love, and not necessarily out of concern. And that is humility, to admit that. What is our purpose for serving? What is our purpose for doing something? And the last thing, harmony, harmonizing these three. So in your service to other people, I think you can still apply it. Is this a should? Is this an ability? Minsan, alam niyo, in-apply ko yan sa anak ko. He was so overboard with so many things that he has to do. Anak, what is it that you need to do right now? But mom, there's just too much. Yes. But right here, right now, what is it that you can do? I applied it. Anak, ano yung kaya mo ngayon? Alam kong madami, pero ano yung kaya mo? But mom, but tomorrow I have to do this. I have a basketball practice and that's something that he longs to do. Okay, I know that. But here, right now, ano yung kaya mo? And eventually, he was able to finish slowly. Pero kailangan ko lang siyang i-focus, what is it that you can do right here, right now? Kasi when we're so battled with too many things, when so bombarded, I think nakakalimutan natin yung tanongin sa sarili natin. Kaya if we don't know how to sit down, to rest it out, friends, nakakalosyang at losyong. You know, we're too stretched. That's why I love the word. We're too maxed out. Sagad na sagad. May deficit pa. Tapos magrereklamo tayo na may sakit tayo. Tapos magrereklamo tayong pagod tayo. Tapos magrereklamo tayong burnout tayo. Tapos magrereklamo tayo that we're running into our own mental health concern. That is the fact. Why? In the first place, we failed to sit down as adults and we failed to reflect and rest a moment. And isn't it? It's applicable still to our how we love, how we serve, and how we reach out to other people.
Right. And so there's a lot of learning that we can get and apply it in our own lives. The humanity, humility, harmony, what you need to do, what you can do, and what you long to do.
Long to do.
Okay? And most especially, I love this, the pause. We need to
Mm-hmm.
pause and then recharge. Okay?
Okay,
Reboot.
wonderful. Thank you,
Thank you,
Ichel.
And start
everybody.
it out.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Itin. And thank you, Nandy. And thank you to all those who asked questions.
Ichel, to
Thank you.
Well,
express,
before we yes,
yes. Huwag ka muna
before we
umalis,
let
Ichel,
you
because
go,
we have
yeah,
something for you. Yes.
Itin would
To
Okay.
like.
express our
Okay,
deepest
Margaret, take it away.
gratitude for this awesome, awesome presentation. May I now read our certificate of appreciation for Dr. Ichel. So the citation reads Reintegration for Care and Wholeness Foundation Incorporated Certificate of Appreciation. This is presented to Dr. Michele S. Alignay for sharing her knowledge and expertise on the Channeling Care event 2020 topic Care as Compassion. Given with the Lord's abundant blessings on this 28th day of November 2020, signed by Cesar L. Carriedo, RCWFI Board Chairperson, and Harriet H. Hormiliosa, RCWFI Founder and Program Director. Again, Ichel, I miss you so much. Thank you for that awesome sharing that we've
Yes.
learned a lot that we can carry on in our lives, not just for this moment, but for a lifetime, hopefully.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ichel. Thank you for sharing
Thank
your knowledge
you.
and
I'll just
experience.
promote this to those who are watching. I do have an online session that's in my I call it Coffee Break with Dr. Michelle. I talk about family life, I talk about well-being, and I talk about faith. It's on my Facebook page, Michelle Alignay, and it's also in YouTube and in Spotify. It's called Coffee Break with Dr. Michelle, so you can just check it out if you need some dose of learnings and insights and reflections like this. Thank you, RCW. Thank you, Ne, and
Wonderful.
congratulations.
Again, we'll repeat
20
that. The
years
FB
and 20
page
years,
is,
and I'm a proud RCW graduate also. Thank you.
Great.
thank you. So we'll
Um,
repeat that. Please tune in if you need doses of inspiration. That's Coffee Break with Dr.
Dr. Michelle.
Michelle. Tama ba? Yes.
Inter-
So please
Inter-
visit her page. You will learn a lot from that FB page and also her YouTube. So parang ano, 'di ba? Millennial tayo. So click, share, and subscribe dun sa page ni Dr. Ichel. Thank you so much.
Thanks again, Ichel. All right. Well, friends, here to reinforce what Ichel has presented are two of RCW's graduates and teammates, Miss Lee Manalaysay and Miss Carol Quiba. Hi, Carol.
Hello,
Hi,
Sir Nandy.
Carol. Hi, Lee.
Hello,
Hello.
Lee. Lee, can you? There you go. There you go.
Hi,
Oh,
good
good to see you.
afternoon.
Good
Good
to see you.
afternoon.
Hi, Itin. Hi, Carol.
Hi there.
Hello, Lee.
Thanks for being here, girls. Appreciate it. Well, please take it away. The floor is yours.
Yes, I'll be the first one to share about self-compassion. Kanina parang ako yung kinakausap ni Dr. Ichel dun sa kanyang ano. I'll start. I divided my testimony into four parts: the context where I came from, and affect, my RCW journey, and my expression. So that's also care. For my context, uh, my past, my mother conceived me at the age of 19, and my dad was only 20 years old at the time. And so my mom had a very stressful pregnancy with me. And because they're very young, during that time, they are not yet ready to have a family. So my grandparents took me to their home and treated me like their own daughter. So I was, they say, the favored one. However, back then I don't understand why I live with my grandparents, even though my parents just live 3 houses away from where I live. So growing up, I do not want to displease people. I'm quite confused about my identity. I feel sad without understanding myself. No? So that's actually the reason why I took up psychology, hoping to know better about to know myself better. So about my affect, I have really concern about losses, and I feel often helpless. I feel sad. I'm quite serious and nervous of a lot of things. I'm very compliant. I try to please people. I don't want to displease them. I do as much as I can in everything that they gave me, a task that they gave to me. I also often see myself exhausted, no? Katulad ng sinabi kanina ni Dr. Ichel, most of that, no, because I overdo things. I have high standard for myself and not for others. So I have a lot of uh, so many things in my mind. I'm so preoccupied most of the time. And so my RCW journey, no, it's actually a midlife journey too. Um, but back then, when I took up psychology, I like having reading magazines about psychology, and I saw the Care magazine of RCW in 2004, because back then, after I graduated in college, I already know my context. I know I need help, and so in 2004, I really want to. I wanted to take up RCW one, the reparenting the child within one. Um, and I feel I need the inner child healing. However, I have so many excuses, no, and I usually put the needs of others before myself. So I actually waited for 12 years pa before I really, had the courage to go to RCW and really took the healing workshop, the reparenting the child within one. It was actually a desperate act, because in 2016, that was, 2004, I like to have that healing workshop, the care shop of RCW, but I just took it 2016. Actually, in 2010, when I lost my grandma mom, she died in 2010, and in 2011, I had my second child. I had postpartum depression. So I just because I'm a counselor, I have background in psychology. I just help myself on my own. But in 2016, I had another delivery, my third son. That was the time na sobrang hindi ko na kaya. So it was because I had another postpartum, but the phase of that postpartum is more on an anxiety, the fear of death. Actually, in 2016, so December, that was my birth month. So I went. I had the courage to go um, to RCW in Partnership Village, and then I took the RCW one in 2016. So it was that experience was also a midlife experience because along with my postpartum, I was also 37 years old at the time. So it was, I also realized that I'm also undergoing midlife crisis. And so that was a perfect, for me, a healing workshop that I took, the reparenting, because I was able to process no, the process yung aking context and where I came from and all those feelings no, that I also do not understand most of the time. So it was really a lot of discovery and unfolding for me. And in 2017, I told myself I had to also had counseling sessions. And in 2008, I did another care shop, The Shadow and The Hail. It's a forgiveness therapy because na-enjoy ko talaga in 2016. So I had another in 2018 after I need to have the counseling session after the RCW one because it was too overwhelming for me. And so I realized I have to process a lot about myself. And in 2018, I had Shadow and Hail together. And then in 2019, I had Cybele, Creating Your Best Life. It was really fun care shop. It was a fun care shop. And then now I'm imagining myself because in Cybele, I was able to be to clarify, to clearly see. I was that was the time I was able to clearly see what are my dreams, my goals, and um, how can I fulfill them, no? And there are also in RCW kasi there are a lot of caring mentors for me, mentors because I'm also a carer, I'm a counselor, so I also need someone to care for me, and I really got that from the facilitators, from my mentors in RCW. Then if I compare when I had my postpartum in 2011, I had like 5 years pero walang effect. But here in 2016, just for 3 years at 2016, I'm able to have my vision board, have really list down my dreams and my goals, and some are actually being fulfilled already. So my expression, what's different now? Because I'm really a helper. I realized that because back then I thought that I have to please people. I have to I have to be somebody else to be able to please people. But now I realize I had to be who I just am and just to be authentic and just to be and I'm really a helper and I'm also a carer. But what's different now than before? Before I used um to seek the deep joy from other people, but now I learned to give that joy and to give that compassion, no, to myself. And so I don't have to look outside for that appreciation, for validation. Of course I need help, I still need help, I still seek help. Actually, that's why I'm part of the caring group of RCW, because this is also part of my support group. um uh, but uh, but as I help others, I don't really I get into myself first. I give it to myself the compassion I need it to give it to myself first before giving it to others. And I don't wait others to give it to me. I if I need it, I need rest. I need affirmation, I need validation, and I had self-care. And I'm so really grateful for RCW because when pandemic, ito, nagkaroon tayo ng pandemic, of course, no, I still have this kind of overwhelming feeling of helplessness. However, I'm able to, yung sinasabi ni Dr. Ichel na post-traumatic growth, no, instead of depleting, instead of limitation, limiting beliefs, was able to really get up and have that post-traumatic growth. And for me, my expression there is, I was in March, I had anxiety. And in April, I was able just to, because I love writing. I thought it's just like a hobby because I love journaling since I was very young. And I journal and then I wrote and I actually did an ebook. It's the title of the ebook is Reclaim Your Power: Self Care Tips Amidst Crisis. So I'm giving it away to students, to friends, and to help them that even in the midst of crisis, we have to care for ourselves. So that's my testimony for RCW. Thank you very much. Yes, Sir Alvin. Yeah, my batchmate. Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm done.
Thank you so much, Carol. Very, very enlightening.
Thank you
Sharing.
so much
We
for that.
appreciate that. So, uh, please, again, friends, keep your comments coming. Thank you very much, Alvin, for that comment. That positive reinforcement,
Yes.
really. I really all appreciate that. Carol, I'm sure you appreciate that. Okay. So while
Thank you so much, Carol, for that one.
okay, so
Thank
while the
you.
presentations are being made or the validations are being made, please keep the comments coming. Over to you.
Yes. So can we call on Lee right now for her testimonial? Lee, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Itin. Thank you. Good afternoon to all, and thank you for having me here. No, I am also an RCW graduate, and prior to me being an entrepreneur, I work in Amcor Technology Philippines as the HR head, and for 16 years, I was the one giving care to the employees of Amcor. No, for 16 years, that
Mm,
long. For 16 years, and I ended up my stint as the HR head, and 13 years I was the OD and training head. And
mm,
sabi ko nga, before 50, I have to retire. Retire na talaga, early retirement. And it came very early kasi I just turned 49 last November 25. And I think I just have hit my goal to be an early retiree. And right now, I am an entrepreneur. I am fulfilling my dreams to become a freelance consultant also, and a businesswoman. And right now, um, I am now focused on now giving worth to others. Sabi ko nga naku, magta 13th month na. Akong ganyan. This is my first month na hindi ako makaka-receive ng 13th month. But now, this is my first time to give 13th month to my employees. And it is a different feeling pala. So that's compassion. Sabi nga inside out approach. So before, for 3 decades, I was the one giving. And now, no, I was the one on the receiving end. But now I am now the one who is the giver. And it's a different feeling, no? And I would also like to encourage also my other siguro office mates, employees, that if you found your passion and compassion to others, step out of the corporate world. Walang masama magiging empleyado, but it is a different feeling to be on your own. Sabi nga ni Ichel kanina, no, when you step out of your comfort zone, makikita mo mas maraming avenue that you can be compassionate to others. And when I joined RCW, nakita ko yung logo, no? Siguro eto na lang yung later logo natin, latest logo, which is the butterfly. And incidentally, I live in a village. I am living here in Lexington Garden Village here in Pasig. And nakita ko yung common denominator ng RCW at saka ng Lexington. It is a butterfly. And we know one of my favorite books is Hope for the Flowers. And it is a very nice book. It is about metamorphosis of a caterpillar to become a butterfly. So I compare myself as a butterfly na I was in a cocoon for a long time and living in my comfort zone, which is in the HR world. And right now, I never thought that I would be much happier in the entrepreneurship arena, to be a business person. And that is how I would like to share compassion to others, because I am not only extending that compassion with my team. Also, I would like to promote also my business. If you happen to be in Quezon City Fisher Mall, please drop by. I have a banh mi sandwich, Vietnamese sandwich. I franchise.
Okay.
Please
All right.
do, please do visit us. And right now, because we are just given like 10 minutes, I would also like to share to you what we are doing here in our village. Last March 16, all business ceased, right? Tumigil ang business, tumigil ang operations. So I have to bring home my store here in the house. And I was the first one who initiated the Bayanihan in Lexington. So my instead of disposing all my products and throwing all away, I have come to share it to our village personnel, the security guards, the maintenance. And that was the start of the Bayanihan spirit in Lexington. Many residents also started to put up their own village business. Many became cook. Many became entrepreneurs also, serving the people inside the village, because at the time we cannot go outside because of the pandemic. So who are our customers? It's our village people. And that is the start of the Bayanihan spirit. So just to recap, because I'm going to show you later, I put up like an iMovie to encapsulate everything that we're doing here. But it would just like be a 3-minute video. But I would like to share with you that we have an honesty store here in Lexington. We have a neighbor who just put up like her product outside her house, walang bantay, and you would
Wow.
just like to, yes, you would just like to sign in, ano yung kinuha mo, and
Mhm.
then,
Goodbye.
ano yan, trust process na. Ganun siya. And to think that, she's doing this because she's a cancer survivor, and doing this activity gives her joy. Sabi nga niya, di na bali hindi ako kumita, basta masaya akong nakakaserve sa tao. Napaka-pure ng heart, di ba? Okay?
Yeah.
And then we also have, during the pandemic, nagkaroon din kami ng TikTok talk with a doctor. Nag-online kami, nag-Viber kami, so that our village residents would be able to uh, to know what's in the COVID pandemic it's all about. And another one, we have a group of people here, residents, family, and also their children, who also engage in making a face shield. This is what we call Project Face Shield, and we have donated this to different institutions, hospitals, centers, evacuation places, and we also do some swab test free for all. Even our kasambahays, free siya. Fortunately, the Pateros Mayor, Ike Ponce, lives in our village. So, yun po, isa po sa mga compassionate activity na ginawa po ng aming butihing mayor through the help of our board of directors. And I am also proud to be one of the members also who also initiate this kind of project. Masarap pong tumulong kaysa yung pong tayo yung nasa receiving end. And our latest activity po, yun pong Project Ulysses and yung Typhoon Rolly. We were able to gather donations, in kind, financial assistance, and we were able to also engage our neighbors and yung po mga kabataan, yun po yung napakaganda because the children were very happy to be part of this engagement activity. And at an early age, they will be able to learn how to give and to be compassionate to others. So in a nutshell po, I would like to share with you yun pong journey ko as an employee for almost 20 years. Now being an entrepreneur, giving to others, to my employee, and also to our village, Lexington. Okay, for Tech J, can you please share our video presentation? Thank you. So this is our yun lang po. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you very much
Wow.
for
Thanks
that.
so much. Thanks so much. I love testimonials because it just gives impact to what the speakers already shared to us. Thank you so much, Lee and Carol. We now call on Miss Tucci Reyes to integrate what has just been shared and to assist us in making our action plan to apply what we learned in our own life. Yun ang maganda at kakaiba sa ating 20th anniversary and the talks. Hey, Tucci, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Hi, student.
Hello. I was about to say, Itin was my teacher. She was actually my guidance counselor in Miriam back in 1991. Year 1991. Okay, I'm giving away your age.
Yes,
okay,
yes,
let me
yes.
let me keep quiet about that now.
Okay.
Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome
Good
to
afternoon.
RCW's Caring Circle. I'm an RCW graduate, and I'm also one of the facilitators of RCW. So it's actually an honor to be celebrating this with all of you. So we will do an integration practice, meaning to say, putting it all together from learnings you've picked up from the speakers earlier, how you can take this in your daily life. How can you actually, if you only have a few minutes, what do we do? Or maybe I have more than a few minutes. It could be 10 or 20 minutes a day. This can be applicable as well. But before we dive into the integration practice, just a few points of what self-compassion really is. I'm a huge advocate of self-compassion because it's coming from my own suffering, from my own story. So I remember the very first time I entered RCW1. Tita H was there speaking, and then beautiful speakers such as Big Big, Ducky, and even Mariel. Um, there was this huge program in my mind. I was an educator, so that's my background. Alam ko na yan eh. Yung, alam ko na yan. Yung, bakit ko pa kailangan na gawin ulit yan? So, why do I need to subject myself to that again? Little did I know that there were so many parts that I didn't know about myself. I actually did not know myself at all. So I went into this path in RCW and also in mindful self-compassion, which I formally teach for RCW as well, that this process of befriending, and when I say befriending, this process of maybe saying hello to my own anxiety, which I lived with ever since I was 10 years old, or maybe even with certain patterns of behavior that I found difficult to change. How is that to actually say hello and even befriend and actually little by little start to embrace that part of myself because it is part of myself. So before I dive into this integrative practice, I'd like to talk about also the two sides of compassion. Ang compassion kasi, maraming nag-iisip na it's just on the soft side. So I'll just read a bit, no? So the misconception that it's primarily soft and receptive because it's associated very much with nurturing relationships. Yes, this is very true as well. Hi, Tita H. Yeah, lovely to see you. However, when we talk about, hi Alvin, when we talk about compassion and compassion towards ourselves, there is a dance that happens here. So this is very much related and webbed with each other. And this is called the yin and the yang. Ibig sabihin, there's a tender side, but there's also a strong side of compassion. So, sabi nga nung isang meditation teacher, si Joan Halifax, strong back, soft front. So, we actually need both to be in balance. Kasi pagka, ito yung mga examples, pagka masyadong soft, at wala yung strong compassion or fierce compassion, minsan nakakalimutan natin yung boundaries natin, we forget to protect ourselves. What if there's already bullying happening? Or what if we need to actually say no? And what if, like what a speaker said earlier, what if we need to pause? Or we need to rest? That's also compassionate when we actually say no. So these are a few examples for soldiers. When they endanger their own lives to protect the lives of others. Parents, OFWs who take on jobs that they don't like, sometimes miles and miles away, just to be able to feed their families, that's also compassion. So We can have a fierce compassion for ourselves, like refusing to take in an addictive substance, or maybe pausing while we press the button of online shopping because we know that the we don't have the ability anymore to pay for that. How about binge watching, where it affects already the way of life? For instance, affecting sleep, affecting relationships, na pag dinidistorbo dun sa pinapanood na paborito, ano sabi mo? So, that's also when we can bring in our own fierce compassion towards ourselves kasi nga nawawala na sa balanse. So, to be fully self-compassionate, we will explore both the yin and the yang in this practice. And just a few things before we dive in. When we say strong back, this means there's strength, there's resilience, there's endurance, there's groundedness, there's stability in the practice or in how we go about our days and even how we relate to others. And then when we talk about soft front, this is when we recognize and accept. This is when it's warming, soothing, putting our hand in our heart. Oh, okay, that's really hard for me right now. And then maybe wanting connection, allowing feelings to arise, and maybe receiving nourishment. So allow me to just share 3 gestures with you before we go into the formal practice. These 3 gestures are basically gestures of both the yin and the yang, the soft side of compassion and also the fierce side. So if you'd like to do this, andali lang po to. If you'd like to do this with your eyes closed, it's okay. But if you'd like to do a gaze downwards or even with open eyes, feeling free to do so. And just taking a few deep breaths, just breathing, being fully human, the ability to be able to breathe. And beginning now to have a closed fist. So ito, may closed fist tayo sa harap natin, okay? Subukan natin ngayon, with this closed fist, pilitin natin buksan. Let's pry it open forcefully. How is that working for you? Prying it, forcefully opening it. What happens? How is this for you? So, just doing your own reflection. And usually, pag pinipilit kasi sa atin, ayaw bumukas eh. So, inviting you now with the open palm, and this is actually taught by David Treleavan. He is the author of Trauma-Sensitive Mindfulness, which I love his teachings as well. To just let this closed hard fist gently rest on the open palm. And as you continue to breathe, how is this for you? What is happening in your own moment-to-moment experience? For some, probably it seems like ay lumalambot, there's some softening. Or maybe I can feel the warmth from my other hand. Or even if you like, could you perhaps imagine kindness and compassion flowing from your fingers to the other hand that's closed? This is actually a gesture practice of both the yin and the yang, the soft and the fierce side. And now another gesture of the yin and the yang. Having this closed fist once again, letting it gently rest on your heart center or your chest. If you like, even with this closed fist, feeling the beating of your own hearts. And letting now the open palm, the other hand, embrace this closed fist. And just asking yourself, how is this for me? How is it to fully experience a closed fist and this other hand embracing my closed fist? Just resting here. Maybe my own definition of pause or being with or just simply breathing. And now, opening our eyes for our last gesture of the yin and the yang of self-compassion, inviting you to just let one hand, an open palm, rest on your heart, and the other hand extending on your screen. Or maybe if you're listening, tuning in with us in Facebook, letting your gadget gently rest. And as this hand is resting, feeling your own hearts and your own breath, the inhalation and the exhalation, how is it like to extend this? As my hand is on my heart, stop, pause, stay right there. Or maybe, how about, as my hand is in my heart, these are my boundaries. Loving myself as I love yourself. Or maybe loving others without losing myself. And just breathing. And if you like, letting your hands gently rest on your side. So we'll now get in to the formal practice. And this formal practice is part of the curriculum developed by Doctors Neff and Germer in the Mindful Self-Compassion program. And one of my favorites, something I use every day, especially professionally, and you will know why. And I will be explaining how this can be practiced even just for a few seconds or just for a few minutes, okay? And this is called giving and receiving compassion. So many of us find ourselves when we give too much, di ba? Nababurn out tayo or na-overwhelm tayo. Yung iba nga, iba-ibang ways na of coping. Or yung iba na lang na nag-freeze na lang na, hindi ko na kaya. And then when we talk about self-care, it's very beautiful. But a lot of these self-care strategies happen off the job, especially during the pandemic. Halimbawa, in my case, I love acupuncture. I love massage, which I can't do right now. So, and in this moment, even if there are some that are open already, I'm choosing not to do. So, what do I do now? And then for us carers, those who actually engage in classes, continue to talk to clients, to students every day of our lives, what do? We can't really say, whoa, I'm getting overwhelmed with your story. Let me just check out. Let me switch off my Zoom video and then I'll get back to you after a minute. We can't really do that. So this practice is actually one of the most powerful practices to give ourselves balance, especially that we have this capacity to receive first before we can actually give. What do I mean by that? Our breathing. We actually need oxygen first before we can exhale carbon dioxide to other living beings. And what I love about the process of the practice is it's always moving, always fluid. And pag pinag-usapan natin yung process, it only stops in our last breath. We are always, forever in process. So, if you would like, inviting you now to a posture that feels comfortable and soothing for you. It can even be a posture where you feel supported, feeling free to embrace even a blanket or even a stuffed toy, if there is one within your reach. This practice can be done with your eyes closed or eyes open, whichever works for you. And what I love about bringing a practice in the present moment is all about honoring. When we honor our own moment-to-moment awareness, it is also respecting how we are, whether we are open or closed. So that's one example of yin and yang. Being very open is yin. Or sometimes when we want to close the faucet, just a little bit of drops, that's the close part. So if you like now, taking a few deep breaths, purposeful breaths, inhaling deeply and exhaling slowly. Bringing now to your awareness that you are actually in the cycle of receiving much needed oxygen in your lungs. And this much needed oxygen is a must before we can actually give out. Inviting you now to put a hand on your heart or another place that feels supportive for you. It could be your belly. It could be just letting your hands rest on your lap. Just your own definition of support. Just letting your breathing find its own natural rhythm. Continue breathing in and breathing out. And as you sit here, just bringing closer attention to inhalation or breathing in. So as you are still in the process of both breathing in and out, just letting yourself savor breathing in. If you like, even letting a phrase or a word ride in your breathing in, such as breathing in kindness for myself, or may I begin to be kind to myself. May I begin to be compassionate to myself. Perhaps even, may I accept myself just as I am. Just feeling the quality of kindness and compassion as you breathe in. And now shifting your awareness to your out breath. Just bringing closer attention to breathing out. Feeling now the ease of exhalation. And now in this part, see if you can allow some space to give yourself permission to call to mind someone who you love or somebody who you care for that is struggling and needs compassion. Just visualizing this person clearly in your mind. Begin now directing your out breath to this person, this human being, or even living being. Perhaps offering the ease of breathing out. Maybe even an intention. May you live with ease, or may you be kind to yourself. If you wish, even sending kindness and compassion to this person or even group of people, one breath after the other. Once again, if it's easier for you, you can breathe out to a group of people or a general population instead of focusing your mind towards one person. And now, this practice is fondly called In for me or out for you. One for me and one for you. Loving others without losing ourselves. As we bring now our focus to the sensation of both breathing in and breathing out. Beginning now to breathe in for yourself and out to the other or others. In for me and out for you. One for me and one for you. Perhaps even drawing kindness and compassion in for yourself and something good out to the other. Kindness for me, kindness for you. Compassion for me, compassion for you. And in this part, asking oneself now the most important self-compassion question: what is it that I need? If you are feeling perhaps more recharged or more resilient, it could be a ratio of 1 for me and 10 for you. 20 for me, 2,000 for you. Just letting it ride in both breathing in and breathing out. And if you find yourself perhaps tired, needing rest, lacking sleep, in your own version of overwhelm or burnout, in this specific moment, it could be 2 million for me, 20 for you, 5 for me, 1 for you. Or it could also be an equal flow. So, in a few moments, I'd like to just invite you to give yourself what you need right now. In this specific moment, what ratio do you need to give to yourself right now? As we honor our own moment-to-moment experience, because every single moment also changes. Feeling free to adjust the balance depending on where you are in your moment. Letting go of any unnecessary effort. Just allowing your breath to flow in and flow out. Like the ocean going in and going out. A limitless, boundless flow. Just letting yourself be part of this limitless, boundless flow. This ocean of compassion. And now, gently letting go of the practice, perhaps by opening your eyes if your eyes were closed, or physically giving what your body what it needs. For those of you who were seated for quite some time, maybe doing a stretch, that's also an act of compassion for ourselves, giving our body what it needs, loosening any tense or tight muscles as you welcome yourselves back. So that was practice maybe about 10 to 12 minutes. And oh, you're very welcome. So one specific question that usually arises after this practice is, what if I just have a few minutes? Let's say I'm going to enter a meeting, or maybe I'm quite tense. I'm about to get into a conversation which is quite uncomfortable or maybe even difficult. So know that you can give yourself even just a few minutes of this. Do you remember the very powerful self-compassion question? What is it that I need in this moment? And giving yourself that ratio, 10 for me, 1 for you. Or the opposite, 1 for me, 100 for you. Because our moments change depending on what we experience as human beings, or it can be an equal flow. Knowing that we need to actually fill our cups with compassion so it can overflow, the ability to let it overflow outside of us, okay? So bringing balance, especially to our nervous system, mentally, physically, and emotionally. So once again, it's as easy as 1 for me, 1 for you, in for me, out for you, or your own specific ratio. So are there questions, just in case, or anything that has come up for that?
Well, I've been seeing a lot of very nice comments complimenting you, Tucci, and thank you very much for taking us through that very soothing activity. By the way, you said earlier before you began that you gave away the age of Itin. Actually, when you referred to your alma mater as Marinol instead of Miriam, that was already a giveaway of your generation.
I actually paused. I was about to say Marinol, and then, oh yeah, Miriam. The autopilot is Marinol, actually.
I still refer to it as
Yeah,
Marinol, so you
that's
know my
actually my first
generation.
job.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tucci. That
Oh,
is so wonderful, very relaxing. I needed that actually because, in preparing for this 20th anniversary, we've been quite very busy and tense the last few and before we just started. And with this pandemic, it's something that they can really bring to their life right now and do it just a few minutes is very important for us to be there, the compassion of the yin and the yang, the giving and the receiving. Thank you so much. Ang galing
thank you.
galing!
Bravo.
Brava.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much for
Thank
that.
you so much.
Okay. Well, friends, keep your comments coming in. Thank you very much for the thanks and the compliments to Tucci and all our other friends and colleagues over here. Okay. I believe we could all use a well-deserved break. And here to help us along is someone who is not only a pleasure to look at, since she's really very pretty, but she is a joy to hear because she communicates not only through words, but through music. So, here to serenade us with a piano rendition as we take our break is another graduate from RCW, a renowned pianist, Miss Mariel Illusorio. Okay.
Mariel Illusorio, and I would like to congratulate Tita H and the RCW team for your 20th anniversary. I first came to RCW more than 3 years ago, and it has totally changed my life. I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't met you. And I believe so much in your mission. Every time spent with you is very meaningful. And I hope that you can be a blessing to many, many more people in the next 20 years and help them heal their lives and improve their lives. So, in honor of the 20 years, I hope that you can enjoy this performance of my Schubert impromptu.
Whoa. Wow. Itin, that is another beautiful way of giving, isn't it? Now, isn't that a beautiful way?